order for Polk County Commissioners Court, Polk County Regional Health Building, Suite A. So at this time, would you please make sure you turn off all devices and mute your cell phones? And we're going to ask Jerry Wayne to lead us in prayer.
Father in heaven, we come to you this day, Lord, and thank you for each one of us here this day. Father, we come to you and ask, Lord, to help us to make wise decisions today, Lord, and Lord, to the county and what's best for the county. We praise, Lord, for your leadership and guidance upon these decisions, Father God. And we thank you, Lord, for being Almighty God. In Jesus' name, amen.
Madam Clerk?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay. For the record, Commissioner Purvis is absent today, but we do have a quorum present. Do we have any public comments? No, ma'am. Okay, informational reports. The first thing is we need to receive a presentation. Are they here today? Is the Alamo? Okay. From the Alamo Letter Society. The Alamo Society is a nonprofit organization dedicated to the research, preservation, and accurate interpretation of the Alamo and the events of the Texas Revolution. It was founded in 1986. The society brings together historians, educators, and enthusiasts from across the country who share a commitment to historical accuracy and public education. And so today, the society is here to present and extend an invitation included in your packet for your review to the court to participate in the Alamo Statewide Stampede, which is a collaborative effort to honor and preserve Texas heritage through community engagement and historical commemoration. You want to come forward?
Thank y'all for letting me present this today. Here. No, if I've given you one.
I've already received mine.
Already got one.
Thank you. You
One,
need to
Mr.
put
Purvis.
public comment, Commissioner Purvis.
All right. I'll get right to it since y'all got such a busy thing. My name's Jordan Oliver. I'm from over there in Lufkin. I'm a son of the Republic of Texas, and I'm also with the Alamo Letter Society. We want to put a plaque pictured there at all 254 courthouses in Texas. We've got about 25 of them done right now and about another 10 in the works. We are not trying to do this in a week. I understand that it takes a process, and I understand that y'all have quite a process going on down the road anyway. I'm a descendant of William Barrett Travis, who wrote that letter. I'm also a descendant of Sam Houston, who received that letter. So it's important to me to be a part of this. Ideally, we would love the county to fund this. Some counties have, some counties haven't. If not, I will seek funding throughout the community from local businesses or historical commissions or the museum or whatever I need to do. But it's $4,000 for the plaque and about $500 for the base. Each county's base is a little bit different. Some people have used a plain concrete base. There's a picture of that. Some counties have used something specific to that county. Fredericksburg and Gillespie County used pink granite that's also used at the Capitol building in Austin. So with your approval moving forward, I will stay in touch with y'all and we will decide what kind of base and exactly where we would like to put it. Judge Murphy mentioned Justice Center, Judicial Center, either one, wherever y'all would like. It's, you know, I'm open to suggestions and staying in contact with y'all and your opinions, but I would just wanted y'all's permission to move forward with this today.
Thanks for your presentation, and what we'll do is we will add it as an agenda item further
Yes,
down
ma'am.
the road after we receive more detailed information and we distribute it to the board members.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
All right,
you.
Well, thank y'all so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, next one, Patillo Brown and Hill LLP, the presentation of the audit for fiscal year end September 30th, 2024. Everybody received a copy of the year-end audit documents that were emailed to Commissioners Court on Wednesday, May 7th, and bound copies are available right here at your desk.
Good morning. How are y'all today?
Morning.
Thanks for having me here. I understand some big storms last night. Is that right? We had some yesterday in Waco as well, so hope everybody weathered that okay. My name is Kent Willis. I'm a partner at Patillo, Brown and Hill. We're an accounting firm based in Waco, Texas. About 100 years old, our firm. And we're a new auditor to you guys this year. You've changed auditors for the first time in a few years. So I thought I would introduce our firm a little bit to you and tell you who we are, and then spend a few minutes talking about the audit for 2024 fiscal year. If you have a question, stop me at any point. Doesn't mind, I don't mind at all. Feel free to ask any questions, or if there's an area you want to drill down into, I'd be happy to do that as well. So, but just to tell you about who we are, our firm, PBH, as we say, we're headquartered in Waco, 100 years old, and we do audits of local governments all over the state. We have about 200 or 300 local government clients, I would say. 45 of those are counties in Texas, so we're well versed with county government. We've worked with county government for almost 60 years now in Texas. We know what's important to you guys and what's going on in county government and Texas government today. Something we pay attention to very closely. Our firm's a little unusual. Our department, the government audit department, is the largest by head count and revenue. That's kind of weird. Most firms spend a lot of effort on tax as their primary moneymaker. We love local government and have really delved into it a lot over the last 60 years. So we're kind of different, maybe unusual in that way. But we're really excited to work with Polk County this year. I thought this audit went very well. First year audits, you can ask Lewis, are painful. Sorry, Lewis. We just don't have the records, the files, the history with you guys like your prior auditor did. So we have to build that up, meaning we have to ask a lot of questions, request a lot of information. We really appreciate the cooperation of your county auditor staff. Transparent, open. Any question we had, any document we requested, they provided to us. So we appreciate that very much. I will say first year audits are often a time where findings happen, right? You have a fresh set of eyes coming in, looking for, maybe asking different questions that your prior auditor didn't ask. So there's always a risk of having a finding or a deficiency when a new auditor comes in. So we'll talk about the results of the audit here in a minute, but I did want to say thanks to everyone we worked with at the county for being so open and transparent during the process. Thought it went very well. All right, so any questions as I'm, okay. Well, let's get into the actual audit. We'll talk about the results of the audit, what we found, if anything, and then we'll look at the general fund kind of financial highlight towards the end of my presentation. So you have a few documents in front of you. I'm focusing first on the one with the colorful cover on it. This is your annual comprehensive financial report. This is the biggest one. We did 2 audits for you guys this year. That's normal, but the one I'm thinking about or talking about first is the audit of the financial statements. It's what you normally think about when you think about an audit, right? Income statement, balance sheet, net income. That's the first audit we perform. That's the financial statement audit. And what we do there is we come in as a skeptical accounting firm, right? We're supposed to be independent and skeptical, trust but verify, and come in and make sure is the information that's included in this document correct, right? So that involves looking at basically any document we want to look at. We ask for requests, that's invoices, general ledgers, receipts, anything we ask for, we get copies of to verify that the information in this document is accurate. At the conclusion of that, I have to stand in front of you and give an opinion on the financials. We rendered that opinion in this document, and it is an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. If you wanted to read that, it's on page 1, 2, and 3 of the document. So an unmodified opinion is just a clean opinion. That's the new term for a clean opinion. And we've also found no deficiencies and no findings to report to you guys today. So for a fresh set of eyes to come in after you've had another auditor for a few years, to not find anything that rose to that level of a finding is really good. That's a great sign that your finance staff is doing a great job on a day-to-day basis. So, clean opinion, no findings to report on the financial statement audit. Can I answer any questions about that process?
We're not gonna ask questions about that. We're gonna just keep it.
You like that? Stick with the good news? Yeah. Well, I've got a little bit more good news.
That's right.
A little bit more good news to share with you. If you want to switch to the skinnier bound document, I'll spend just a couple minutes here, and then we will wrap up. So the skinny document is called the single audit report, and we're looking at pages 6 and 7. What we're looking at here, this is the separate audit. We do 2 audits for you guys. This one is an audit of your federal and state grant awards. So what you're looking at on 6 and 7 is a listing of federal and state dollars that were provided to Polk County and spent during FY 2024. So you'll see some familiar programs, right? The flood buyback program is on the top left of page 6. The courthouse restoration program is kind of midway on the page 7, right? These are federal and state dollars that are given to you with strings attached. And our job for this separate audit is to come in and make sure, did you follow those rules that the state or federal agencies set when they gave you those dollars, right? Did you spend the money on the appropriate projects? Did you report to them as they required? So they farm that work out to us to come and check on Polk County and make sure you're following their rules. We issue an opinion here. We also would have to report findings if we had any, but I'm happy to report in this arena, we have clean opinion again and no findings to report under the federal and state single audit procedures. So this is where our clients usually get tripped up if they have a finding. It's usually in this arena. You guys know these grant rules are complicated and easy to mess up. So we're happy to be able to report clean opinion, no findings in both the financial statement audit as well as the single audit here in this document. Can I answer any questions about that or explain anything better? I'd be happy to. All good news. Okay, last piece I wanted to mention to you guys, if you go back to the big document, page 18, the big spiral document. You want to follow along? Page 18 is income statement for your general fund and a few other funds. I just wanted to hone in on the general fund. I know this is a few months ago. We'll just talk about the financial performance of the general fund. So this isn't really an analysis of how things went or how they should have gone, just talking about the facts, really. 2024 fiscal year ended September 30th. You had total revenues of about $30 million. We move down the page, expenditures of $26 million. A little further down, here's some other kind of miscellaneous items. We left the year end with net change in fund balance of $3.4 million in fiscal 24. So put away a little fund balance last year. To put that into perspective, you began the year with 6.1 months of fund balance and you ended with 7.7 months of fund balance. So very strong place to be financially. I believe the kind of rule of thumb, bare minimum months of fund balance is 3 months. I'm not sure about you, but my personal finances, I don't like bare minimum. I'm looking for plus. So you guys are above the bare minimum of 3 months with a healthy 7.7 months in the general fund. So great place to end financially for fiscal 24. Any questions or discussion on that? Anything else I can expand on? Well, look, like I said, it's a great year to work with Polk County. I really appreciated working with Lewis and his team. Glad to be able to come speak to you guys for a few minutes today. We're at your disposal. If you have questions throughout the year, we're here to answer questions and discuss as needed. So please reach out if you need to. So thank you for your time, and I will close with that.
I have a real quick question
Oh, yeah.
on revenues.
Yes, ma'am.
What is intergovernmental?
Intergovernmental. So are you focused on just the general fund or?
Just on the general fund, just so I understand exactly what that means.
So that was gonna be probably, oh man, it's been a minute since I looked at that number. I would imagine interlocal agreements. Do you have interlocal agreements with other cities for sheriff's office protection, things like that? You'll do any of that?
Not with the sheriff's office, not a whole lot.
Okay.
No.
So there's probably some grant dollars in there. Grant spending in the general fund would be recognized in that line item, but I can't
Is
say
that
that.
gonna be IAH?
Could
Federal?
be, you're right. I think it could be the county's portion of IAH going in there, yes.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. I can get you some more details on that if you need it. I don't
That would be
have that level of
great.
detail. Sure.
That'd be great. I mean, I understand, hotel occupancy taxes and sales tax and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
I just wanna make sure I'm clear on that one.
I'll get you the breakdown of that. Okay.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Anything else I can answer? Got the ruler out.
Anybody else?
I'm good.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank
y'all
you.
for your time.
Thank you very
Nice to meet
much.
you. Thanks.
Thanks, Ken. for coming down today.
Thanks.
Sure appreciate it. Well, congratulations to our audit team and finance team for another job well done. We appreciate your hard work.
I have to tell you.
As
that,
usual.
Yeah, I've been doing this for a real long time, and I've done changes in audit firms. Not very many times, but a few times. And this went really smoothly. They were very on top of things, and they're very focused in government. You know, the other firm that we may have wound up with because of the change in the buyout didn't have the same level of experience in government. So
Of focus.
this worked out really well.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Next is a presentation from the Texas Association of Counties, TAC, regarding the mid-year group health benefits review and proposal for ancillary benefits. There's Clarissa.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm gonna give y'all some handouts real quick. Do you need one? A copy?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, I think I should have enough. Okay. There you go. It's yours, and then
Thank you,
these are
ma'am.
the things that need to be signed.
Yeah.
I'll talk about that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Go. That's yours. Do you need a copy?
Don't have to.
Okay. All right, good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Thank you all so much for having me. My name is Clarissa Messenger. I am the Employee Benefits Consultant for the East Territory. I'm not new to TAC, I'm just new to the East Territory. So I previously was servicing the South Territory for over the last 6 years. So not new to the position, just new to you all. So thank you all so much for having me. We're gonna cover a few items today. So we are gonna talk about the mid-year plan review and plan performance. We also are going to discuss the renewal for the major medical health insurance plan. We will also talk about the ancillary quotes that we provided to you all for your voluntary dental, vision, and life insurance products. So first, if you open this packet, you probably have a version as well. This is gonna be the updated information with some of the key highlights. So on that first page, I do wanna first talk about the value of the TAC Health and Employee Benefits pool, and it'll be this bottom slide right here. So we currently are at close to, actually this number is a little bit outdated, but up to this point, we're close to about 50,000 lives. So just over 49,000 members a part of the pool currently. That consists of 231 groups. Of that, 191 are actual counties. So that kind of gives you a perspective of who's in the pool, where our negotiating power comes from. We are able to go out to all of our vendor partners, such as Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas and Navitas, to help negotiate the best discounts for you all by using that amount of lives versus maybe the county individually going out with close to 290 lives individually. The pooling strategy, of course, being a member of the pool, this helps you all to provide the greatest financial stability over the years. So, of course, we have historically been able to outperform the market, which is a benefit to help keep your rates stable year over year. The good news is that all of our vendor partnerships are going to remain the same. So for the medical, we've got Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas for claims administration and their network. That'll remain the same, and same with Navitas Health Solutions, which is our pharmacy benefits manager. If you move to the next page, we'll talk about the bulk of the data, which is the plan review. So on here, these are all things that we consider when we set y'all's renewal rates. So we go in and we look at your current plan design. Currently, y'all have a plan design with a $2,000 individual deductible and a $6,000 family deductible. Prescription copays, that plan is pretty standard. Members are paying a $10 copay for a tier 1, $25 for a tier 2, and $40 for a tier 3 medications out there. We also look at your claims experience, so we don't just look at a 12-month basis. We actually look at a 36 to 48-month perspective. Now, when I say loss ratio, we're comparing the amount that we've paid out in claims for medical and pharmacy compared to what we receive from you all in premiums. So over the last 12 months, reporting at the end of April, back 12 months, we're seeing that y'all's loss ratio is close to 121%. Now, keep in mind, you want a 94% to break even with the pool. So what this means right now is we're paying more in claims on the medical and pharmacy side than we're receiving from you all in premiums. But when we look at a 36-month loss ratio, a 3-year look, we are seeing a 98%. So a little bit lower historically in that 3-year look. You've had some years that have helped to offset some of the high claims we're seeing over the last 12 months. Now, we also look at credibility formula and factors. These are things that you can't necessarily influence, but they are just factors that we take into consideration. So we've got a credibility factor. We look at the average amount of employees that you have, and we say, how credible are we able to predict your claims in the future? We also look at a demographic factor, which is the average age of your employee count compared to the average age in our book of business. So slightly older, and then the area factor, we look at the average cost of care here in Polk County compared to the average cost in Texas, and that's slightly a bit higher. Again, these are all things we can't necessarily influence, but they are factors when we take factors that we take into consideration when we set your renewal. And then lastly, you'll see high cost claimants there. So you've had one claimant over 200,000, 6 claimants over 100,000, 10 claimants over 50,000, 29 claimants over 20,000, and 40 claimants over 10,000. On the bottom slide there, this is just a breakdown of the financial dashboard on a 3-year basis. So as you can see here, I'm going to work my way from the right and go all the way back to the left. So May of 2024 through April 2025, that's your most recent 12 months. You'll see that we paid close to $3.3 million in medical claims and close to $1 million in prescription claims. That put your total at a little bit over $4.2 million in claims on both medical and pharmacy. And we received close to $3.5 million in contributions from you all. So that's where we're getting our loss ratio of 120%. As you can see, the previous reporting periods, you had a loss ratio of 80%, the previous 12 months, and then the previous 12 months to that, it was at 92%. So you're using those 2 really good years to help offset some of the claims that you're seeing the last 12 months. Any questions on that? Okay. Real quick, I'm just gonna go over Healthy County, which is our wellness program. So on that next page, it says preventative practices or annual physicals. We have seen that your employees are getting their annual physicals as well as their spouses and dependents. And a large contribution of that is the county-specific incentive that y'all have in place, where y'all have a requirement for employees to go in and get an annual physical, and they get an incentive in place of that. So as you can see here, you've got 136 out of 379 employees and their dependents, so spouses and children, who are actually getting their annual physicals. I know that Tasha Brent, she's your wellness consultant, has worked with Nicole to come out and do some wellness workshops, and so that's helping to get the word out about some of the wellness programs that we have in place for you all. Specifically on the bottom page, you're gonna see our participation in the Healthy County wellness programs. And I'm not gonna go into too much detail on those, but I do have contact information in here. So if you're curious about any of these, Tasha and I are happy to explain any of these programs to you. But you do have good participation in all of these. The next slide is gonna be the breakdown of how y'all receive employer rewards. So y'all are eligible to receive up to $9,000 in employer rewards every year. And so last year, or for calendar year 2024, y'all received $3,826 of wellness funds that we recommend using to put back into the wellness program, into initiatives. You earn this by, one, having a county specific incentive in place, which y'all do. You also earn this by having wellness workshops throughout the year. And then also with WebMD1, our wellness platform participation. So that's kind of a breakdown of how those rewards are earned. Y'all done a great job. I know that wellness is being promoted. And as y'all know, if you have employees that are engaging in their wellness, in their health, in the programs to help manage chronic conditions, we can help offset some of the costs that we see in claims. So that's the mentality we want to have going forward with the employees. It's good to have healthy employees working for the county. On the bottom slide, you'll see a cost containment strategy, so just recommendations based off of what we've seen. Promoting a ROSI, which is a musculoskeletal injury program. Promoting Teladoc, which is a program for hypertension and diabetes management. And then continuing to have wellness workshops throughout the year. The last page is just going to be contact information for myself and Tasha. But I want to open it up to any questions y'all have before I move into the actual renewal.
Any questions?
Lots of info. I try to keep it high level. All right. If y'all move to this page, it's going to be the renewal information. I went ahead and just pulled out this one pager. I know that the renewal is a lot longer, but this is going to be a really good snapshot of the renewal. So, to give you an idea of how the pool is performing first, we are rolling out with a 6% pool needed amount. So we are governed by a board of elected officials, and so they always have the option of whether they want to give everyone the pool needed amount, which is one number, or they can give everyone individual ratings depending on your actual data. So if you remember, we talked about the plan review and that mid-year review. Those are the things that we look at when we set individual rates for everyone. So with the 6% based off of y'all's data that we were seeing, y'all are getting an 8.2% renewal increase. So looking at the alternate plan proposal here, you're gonna find your current plan year renewal, or your current plan year rates. And then over to the right, you're gonna find the renewal rates with that 8.2% factored in. So on the employee only basis, you're going from $942.84 up to $1,020.14. When you look at it on an annual basis, having 292 employees, you're looking at an increase on an annual basis of about $271,000. And again, that's based off of current enrollment. So if there's a fluctuation in that, it could be different, of course. We also included options if you were to consider alternate options by tweaking the plan design. So you'll see option 1 has an increase on the deductible. It increases by about $500 on the individual and $1,500 on the family. You would bring your rate down to about $987 for the employee only. I usually recommend not going over $1,000 if you are making a change. And I would recommend, if you are considering a change, option 1, you start tweaking the plan design too much, it's going to provide a lot of disruption. So that is something to keep in mind. Any questions on the medical? Okay. And then y'all also have the basic life insurance through us, so the rates on that are not changing at all. Those are going to remain the same. Okay, last packet. If you turn to this one, it should say proposed dental plan and rates. We provided a quote for voluntary dental and vision, as well as life insurance products, which includes the voluntary life and short-term disability. So on the first page here, you're gonna find the voluntary dental plan rates and details. So on here, we're proposing a plan with a $1,500 maximum benefit with a $50 individual deductible. On that, any diagnostic and preventative care services are covered at 100%, and those services do not apply to the annual maximum of $1,500. Any minor services, so just the basic care, that's gonna be covered 80% by the plan, 20% by the member. And then those major services, so implants, surgeries, things like that, those will be covered 50% by the plan, 50% by the member. This benefit plan option also includes an orthodontic benefit. So as you can see there, there is no age limitation for employees themselves. So if they wanted to seek orthodontic benefits, even if they're above the age of 26, they would be able to do so. And then any dependent children under the age of 26 years old would also have those orthodontic benefits. Those would be covered 50% by the plan, 50% by the member, and there is a lifetime maximum per participant on that. So that's separate from their annual dental plan maximum. When looking at the current rates that y'all have for the voluntary dental, these do come in slightly below those rates that y'all currently have. And it is with the Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas network. Included in our quote that was emailed to you, Judge, I'm happy to send it to everyone. There's also a directory for those Blue Cross providers on the dental side that you can also browse. Does anyone have any questions on the dental? Okay. And then you'll find the specifics of the plan on the back page and that third page. If you turn to the back of the third page, we're gonna talk about the vision plan real quick. We have 3 plan options to choose from, but we did include the ones that closely mirror what the county currently has. So you've got the vision premium plan. You're looking at a rate of $7.86 for each employee, up to $23.22 if they were to add their family. That's a monthly premium. This is the best plan option that we have. So they would get 1 annual eye exam once every 12 months. They get a lens and a frame allowance every 12 months. And that allowance is $180. So $180 for lenses, $180 for frames. There is no copay for the annual eye exam. And then just depending on the actual lenses that they might require, there are different copays associated with that. The next page is a step below for the vision plan. Again, this is voluntary. This is the value plan. So they would receive an annual eye exam once every 12 months for a $10 copay. The difference on this is the allowance and the frequency that they're able to get lenses and frames. So with this vision plan option, they would get $130 instead of that $180. And then they would get a frames allowance once every 24 months, and then lens allowance once every 12 months, and they would have to alternate that. The copays for lenses is slightly higher at about $15, and just depending on what is required. Any questions on that? The vision plan is powered through iMed, so that is the network, iMed, and it's through Blue Cross.
Sounds good.
Okay. And then I'm not gonna go into too much detail, but we did provide a voluntary life and accidental death and dismemberment quote for you. It is based off of the actual dollar amount that they elect, so you'll see the rates there. We also included, the voluntary short-term disability plan. Again, based off of salary, those rates are listed there for them as well. And all of the plan specifics are on the back for that voluntary short-term disability plan. The life insurance is through Dearborn, again, through Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas. The benefit of these ancillary products is that billing would be all through us, through tack on one invoice. So it would all be, compiled into one with the medical and the basic life insurance currently. And then administratively, going into our system for all the products to enroll employees, it would all be on one system for, James and his office, enrolling employees. So, any questions?
No, ma'am.
I know that's a lot of information.
Don't worry, we're gonna have time to review and
Yes.
digest.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank y'all so much.
Thank
If
you,
you think of
Carissa.
anything, my email's on there. Please feel free to give me a call, email, happy to help. Thank y'all.
Sounds good. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Just for everybody's information, keep in mind that we will move through this. The dental and the vision will, whichever one the group selects to participate in, well, then the individual employee will decide to what degree they wish to participate. So the big one for the court is, for our employees, is going to be our healthcare. So, think about that, because we've done it several different ways in the past. We have surveyed our employees to see which one as a whole group they're interested in participating in. And we basically have the same issue this year, and that is that those employees that need insurance for their families or for their children, they are the ones that take the hit. So keep that in mind when you're looking at that information. Okay, I have one quick informational report. We need to make sure that everybody follows the work order system or the notification system that's established for IT, for maintenance, and for HR. So don't pass them in the hallways and say, oh, by the way, or send them a text message while they're at lunch, right? If you have an emergency and you've got water falling on your computer, then yes, call maintenance and IT, right? But then make sure that after that happens, that you enter it into the work order system so that they can track the work and they have the information in there. So that's just a quick reminder for everybody. Okay, new business, your consent agenda, you have an addendum on 5 in the amount of $181,098.84. Is there anything on the consent agenda that anybody wishes to pull? No. Motion to approve, Commissioner Cassidy, second Commissioner Kudos. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, new business, which is a regular agenda, number 17, consider approval of personnel matters as follows. Personnel action form request submitted by department heads since last meeting, and review of any authorized emergency hiring. Under this agenda item, the court will be asked to approve personnel action forms which have cleared all pre-submittal criteria, and we've included a preliminary listing of the PAFs that were submitted to date. At this time, we have no emergency hires. I need a motion to approve. I'll second. Commissioner Dubose, Commissioner Robertson, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We do wanna make one thing clear. We've been sliding back a little bit and creating an issue for the treasurer's office and for HR, again, over emergency hires. Keep in mind that a reclassification is not an emergency hire, it's just a reclassification, and so it can go into the next payroll. An emergency hire is when you absolutely must have that person up and ready to go and on deck, right? Then, in that case, that is an emergency hire, but if it's just a reclassification, it's not an emergency. That helps keep them maintain payroll as accurately as possible. Okay, B, ratify correction to the personnel management system, vote 2. So we discovered a debatable statement in the new policies that were adopted last year that has led to some confusion. In section 7.015, the current version states full-time employees who retire under the Texas County and District Retirement System guidelines with 20 years of service, or elected officials with 16 years of service qualify for retiree benefits. We need to make it clear that that is 16 years of service or 20 years of service with Polk County. Because Polk County is who's paying for it. So that is the change. And we've discovered some other things, and we will go through all of it and come back to the court with that. So the redraft was included for your review.
So moved.
Now second. Commissioner Cassidy, Commissioner Robertson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 18, consider request for revisions and amendment to the budget as follows. The FY 2025 budget revisions and amendments as presented by the County Auditor's Office. Copy of the proposed revisions 2025-12 and amendments 2025-12A was included in your packet for your review. Need a motion to
Motion to
approve.
approve.
Motion to approve, Commissioner Dubus, second Commissioner Cassidy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 19, ratify approval of request from the Sheriff's Office for the purchase and installation of cameras from Williams Communications in the amount of $32,455.52, replacing the previously approved purchase from STS 360 on February 25th, 2025, and approve the amended funding resolution. On February 25th, the court approved a proposal from STS 360 for the purchase and installation of cameras in the old section of the jail, utilizing funds received in 2024 for housing out-of-county inmates. The amount of the proposal received and approved at that time was $31,841.60, and the court approved a resolution to authorize a budget amendment using those surplus revenues for housing out-of-county inmates. They completed, STS 360 completed another walkthrough after the court accepted their proposal and found additional work that they said needed to be added to running of conduit. Chief Deputy Lowry questioned why these new cameras would need conduit when the ones they had previously installed did not. Essentially, STS 360 wanted to add an additional $9,000 to their original quote. So we've reached out to Williams Communication to provide a similar quote to what was originally presented by STS 360. So what we need to do, this is a new proposal, which was, we authorized the Sheriff's Office to move forward because we don't want to hold up on cameras and things that are essential to safety. And so we would like to move forward with a new proposal, which is included for your review, and accept the amended resolution, which is also included for review, and the difference will be paid through the same revenue funding. Do you want to add anything to that, Andy?
No, man, other than they're about finished with the cameras, so, we went ahead and moved forward, so. It was just,
So in other words, I'm flapping out there in the room with
Yeah.
wind, so y'all need to sign this resolution.
So the first one, they come in and they gave us a bid, which, in my opinion, I give you a bid for the job, that's all the equipment you need, that's the price of the job. They come back, try to add 24,000. Ask for another walkthrough, and the other bid come in, the additional wire, and I think it was 2,000, which was a bigger wire. We were good with that, they still wanna add another 7,000 or 9,000 on top of that for labor that they were already gonna pull wire through. So the bid jumped to like $41,000, just wasn't happy with that. So this bid here is like $600 something over the original, and it's way far from the 41,000, that's the reason why we went with them.
Thank you.
So I need a motion to
So
ratify. Okay, Commissioner Robertson.
Second.
I have a tie.
Oh.
Commissioner Cassidy, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 20, consider any and all necessary action regarding requests for proposals, RFP number 2025-20 for voice over internet protocol for VoIP phone system. On April 22nd, the Commissioners Court authorized the county to request proposals for voice over internet phone systems to streamline our services into one provider, and selected Commissioner Dubos, Nicole Weeks, and the IT department. So that request closed on May 14th. A total of 10 qualifying proposals were received. However, we did not receive proposals from our local telephone providers. When we reached out to them, we found that they had missed the RFP packets that were sent to them, but still want the opportunity to bid. So with the court's permission, we would like to reissue the RFP. If you would prefer to move forward with only the proposals we received, then the scoring committee is requesting additional time to do a more thorough review. We would prefer for this item to be tabled. If we are not gonna move forward with reissuing the RFP, then we would like for it to be tabled till June 24th. So I need to know, do you wanna reissue the RFP to make sure that our local providers are included? Or do you wanna move forward with what we've got?
What you wanna do, guys?
I mean, I think it's fair that we give them the opportunity.
I agree.
Okay. So you want to send out another RFP?
Yes, ma'am. Motion to send out.
Commissioner Dubose, proposal is to move forward with another RFP, which will include those other ones as well. I need a second.
Second.
Commissioner Cassidy, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 21. Discuss and consider any and all necessary action regarding proposals for fire protection services. Houston Fire and Security currently has a contract for fire monitoring services, but the maintenance department has been looking for alternative options for other services provided by Houston Fire, including inspection and repair or replacement of fire extinguishers and sprinkler systems. The goal is to find one company that can do all the work needed, which makes the workflow and billing significantly more efficient for the county. So at the court's direction, Grady Woods did reach out to East Tech Security, and while they are able to do our fire extinguishers, they are not able to do our backflow inspections or repairs to sprinkler systems. Grady found 3 companies able to do these inspections and repairs. Cintas has a yearly total of $39,483 $41. And so then he also requested Backflow Houston. Backflow Houston, their yearly total was $35,008.21. And then at Commissioner Purvis's recommendation, he also reached out to Mid-South at Diboll, who quoted an annual cost of $54,144, putting them over the county's competitive bid limit. So we reached out for an official quote and 1-year contract from Backflow Houston, and hope to have time. Grady, do you have a recommendation?
I don't, Judge, I just like to get away from Backflow Houston.
Okay.
Or, yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, you have a
Houston
decision.
Fire, yeah. Yes, it takes, if we have any issues at the jail or anywhere, it takes them a minimum of a week to come service us. And, we've had instances with them in the past. One of them I find completely unacceptable. I don't really want them in the county buildings,
Okay, so you wanna go with Backflow Houston?
but Backflow, yeah.
Okay. Comes as a recommendation from maintenance. Do I have a motion? Robert said, and Dubose, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I do wanna make a note of it that this will be pending legal review also. Okay, item number 22, discuss and consider any and all necessary action regarding Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA. The Federal Highway Administration requires that all state transportation agencies like TxDOT to monitor its sub-recipients like ourselves for compliance with the American with Disabilities Act. Our ADA compliance extends to accessibility of county buildings, online services, employment, and policy documents. On May 28th, the Commissioners Court appointed myself to be the ADA coordinator, and we adopted a non-discrimination policy statement and written grievance procedure. In follow-up communications with TxDOT, it was decided that Carrie is best suited for the role, which will require extensive training and certification. Carrie has enrolled in the ADA coordinator training and will be working with all offices to achieve and maintain compliance with the ADA requirements. A copy of the updated ADA grievance procedures and process naming Carrie as the ADA coordinator, along with an order approving this document, is included for your review. We've also included a job description for the ADA coordinator. This document is intended to inform the court of the extensive responsibilities associated with the role, which are currently being carried out in addition to her regular job. ADA is becoming, and like all things government related. They just seem to expand. They're like amoebas, you know, they just keep growing and growing and growing. And that is one of the things that has happened with ADA compliance. You start out by just making sure that your buildings are ADA accessible and that your restrooms are ADA accessible and things like that. And then it goes to the next level and the next level and the next level. And that's basically what has happened here. So that for ADA compliance, for federal and state, now involves additional training, certification, monitoring of everything from the website to the buildings, to the services provided. So, to some degree, I feel like that this could be the straw that broke the camel's back for Carrie. And so, but we have to approve it, and we have to move forward because grants and federal and state services are attached. So I would like to slide it off my shoulders onto poor Carrie at this point in time and let her do all the training.
So
And then later we can decide how to proceed. Commissioner Cassidy,
So,
second Commissioner Dubus. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, keep in mind, she is gonna need some assistance with all these things that we keep pushing for direction. Number 23, consider approval of request from Pinwall Marina, located in precinct 2, for exemption from the Polk County RV parks regulations for the installation of electricity connections at existing sites. Commissioner Dubus has asked that the court consider the request from Pinwall Marina for exemption from the RV regulations. Copy of the request and the exemption is included for your review. This RV park has been in existence for over 30 years and is requesting an exemption to the development plan requirement for 4 RV sites that already exist with water and sewer, and they simply want to add electricity. It doesn't make any sense for them, since they've been in operation for 30 years, to then request that they follow current guidelines that we would provide for new RV sites. So Commissioner Dubus, do you
I'll
want
make the
to add
motion to
anything?
approve. Well, I did check the sites and I did verify that they did have the sewer and water already there, so.
Okay, so they comply
Yeah,
otherwise.
so they're-
So it comes as a motion from Commissioner Dubus, second Commissioner Robertson. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 24, the 2026 employee benefits. Okay, we've seen the proposal for renewal of the employee health coverage, major medical. The group health renewal package was released to us on Friday, May 23rd, and will need to be renewed by the end of June to continue with TAC and avoid any administrative fees. So make sure you review that information that was presented to us today. There's no voting on that, that's just more of a information item. 24B, review and discuss the annually determined contribution rate for the Texas County and District Retirement System, which is page 190. This item is for discussion only and will return to the agenda also at a later date. Each year, the court reviews and makes the decision of the county's TCDRS retirement rate early in the budget process. Part of why we need to know what the contribution is going to be to TCDRS. We need to know what the decision is going to be about health insurance, those major things that have to be decided. And then we will move forward with personnel, pay raises, and all the other costs associated. But we have to have this information before we can truly start creating a budget. So, enclosed for your review are the following documents: the 2026 plan assessment for TCDRS, the summary evaluation report as of December 31st, 2024, and the 2025 plan assessment for comparison purposes. So Polk County's current retirement contribution rate is 14.54. Due to the investment returns, the exceeding TCDRS's 7.5% assumption, the required rate for for 2026 has decreased to 13.81. Historically, what the court has decided to do, since we were already invested in that amount, that 14.54 amount, then historically, what we have elected to do is to contribute more than the required rate to reduce long-term liabilities in case something happens further down the road. For example, in 2020, the required rate was 14.21, which dropped to 13.93 in 2021. So despite the drop, we decided to continue contributing the 14.21%. This also helped buffer the sharp increase that occurred to us in 2022 to 15.46. So our current rate, which is 14.54%, is also an elected rate, while the required rate for this year, 2025, is 14.05. So for 2026, the court may choose any rate at or above 13.81. If no action is taken, then the current elected rate of 14.54 will remain in place. At current payroll levels, the difference between the minimum rate and the current rate represents about $116,000 in additional annual costs. The court has approved a 10% cost of living adjustment for retirees. Last time we did that was in 2024. Without a one-time excess contribution, the COLA increases the required rate over the next several years to account for added liability. So our contribution rates are decreasing more quickly because of the high interest rates. And so we've included a comparison for you to look at when you're looking at it. So there's your 2026 projection all the way to 2035 for your consideration. So some of the benefits of selecting a rate above the minimum is we build a cushion for the future. If the economy takes a downturn or investments underperform, then the county's better positioned to keep our retirement plan stable without needing to raise rates. We protect our taxpayers from sudden increases in future contribution costs. And we also maintain a strong, reliable retirement system for employees who dedicate their careers to public service. So all of you need to think about that and see, review the information. If you have any questions, certainly give us a call and we'll take a look at it. Keep in mind that over time, you're gonna have inflation rates. There's gonna be changes in the cost of groceries, gas, housing, everything, power. And so that's part of why we want to buffer our employees from that. So that gets us to Commissioner Purvis, who is not here to defend himself today. Okay, we have renewal rates from TAC. We have some other insurance entities that have contacted us as well and provided information for ancillary services. So what we would like for the court to consider is appointing a committee to evaluate all the employee benefit, all of our insurance, the health benefits, the ancillary benefits, you know, everything all the way from vision, dental, health to if they want to have a death benefit, then they can do that as well. So with the upcoming renewals, for insurance benefits, including health and supplemental policies, we would like to do a comprehensive review again. We did this in years past where we reviewed everything and modified it. So we are recommending that we appoint a committee to evaluate all employee insurance benefits and bring their recommendation for the court. The committee should include representation from both administrative and operational leadership for a balanced perspective. And we would like to include this office, Commissioner Purvis as a senior member of the court. We would like to ask our district clerk to participate. And we would like to ask the sheriff's office to have a representative and human resources department as well.
definitely good for Commissioner Purvis.
Well, and you know, to be real honest, Commissioner Purvis, over the years, is the one commissioner that really scrutinizes insurance, benefits, pay, everything. Historically, he really does pay attention. So, we thought it would be fitting. Does that come as a motion?
Motion.
I'll second. Commissioner Dugas, Commissioner Cassidy, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, budget development. Everyone is welcome to stay, but if you don't want to stay for this part, that would be fine also.
I'll be back. I'm just going outside.
You better sit there.
Audit.
I'm telling you. That office right there between Lewis and Carrie, that's who keeps us out of trouble. Okay. So let me just give a review of our budget development first, and then we're going to go through this printout, page by page by page. So we sent a copy of this printout on May 6th to all of you. Now you should have a printout in paper where you can scribble on it. We're going to review all the requests and the recommendations so far. We do have several new position requests with a total cost of $1,204,834, excuse me, $1,204,834, using our current pay scale and benefits cost. The majority of those requests are for the jail and the sheriff's office. We also have several reclassification requests totaling $64,537. So we made some recommendations from this office on those new positions, and they're built into the preliminary budget. We have also received multiple requests for consideration of certificate pay. These requests came after the budget requests were due, so they're not built into this preliminary budget. But I would like for us to discuss certificate pay and what that means. What's the goal of certificate pay? Similarly to the TCOL and JP clerk certificate pay that we currently have, we would like to maintain a maximum of 3 levels and only include those certificates that are related to the job held, and they show advanced learning or retention of knowledge, and that relate to the improved services for residents and taxpayers. We also need to consider some consolidation of departments that answer to the court and try to get away from one-man teams. So that would include consolidating or finding a way to consolidate aging, social service, and the veteran services into one department, and bringing purchasing and procurement under grants and contracts, which we had previously discussed as well. And grants and contracts already works really closely with Nicole, and they've done a good job of transition. And then we need to discuss county vehicles as well. Towards the end of last year's budget development, we recognized that we have several officials that are utilizing their own vehicles, sometimes on a daily basis, and are not being compensated for the use of their vehicles. And so we need to discuss that along with travel allowances. Okay, let's go through this thing. Okay, one of the things that I do want you all to think about is how to define certificate pay. At this time, your TCOL have 3 levels of certificate pay and basically the goal of the certificate pay is not to just have an officer, but to have an officer that has advanced knowledge, has moved forward, and by moving forward and gaining additional knowledge, then he provides better service, right, to the department and to the taxpayers. And so when we think about certificate pay with the JPs, we approved certificate pay last year because it required classroom experience, it required time, and provides them with better knowledge and information. So we do have some additional departments that would like to consider certificate pay if they have something that qualifies them for that certificate pay. But I do need for y'all to think about, what does that mean? What does certificate pay mean? And what are the expectations from those people that receive certificate pay in other departments? Okay, so we'll get some more information for you all, but I want you to start thinking about that. Okay, first page. You should have your table of contents, and then you should have our tax notes. Okay, our capital purchase projections. You have listed the roof for probation department, which obviously has to be done, but we're gonna put that on capital purchase projections for next year. You have multiple vehicles and aftermarket equipment, computer equipment and software, and that's for handheld radios at the jail. And then the jail also has several things that have gone down on them, which is the refrigerator and some other equipment that they need. And then we also have the Axon cameras for the jail and for the sheriff. You can tell we have a new constable in precinct 3 because he's making all his requests. We did ask him to consider utilizing any funds that are still available in this year. And then that way we could lessen the impact on the next budget year. So one thing to think about, you have a passenger bus also for the jail, and we're researching that information. One thing to think about is also that we may add some vehicles, because we have, like the JPs utilize their personal vehicles all the time. The tax assessor collector has a vehicle, but it's the county clerk's vehicle, in fact, for elections. And so we do want to find as many possibilities like that. The treasurer utilizes her vehicle on a daily basis. And so if we could find a way to modify those vehicles and make sure that everybody has a county vehicle when they need it, then that would help. So same thing with Nicole. Nicole has been utilizing her personal vehicle to go back and forth to bids or to meet people and do that. So keep that in mind, that the vehicle numbers will change. Okay, skip over to the next page. At the top, you have our certificate of obligation and our tax notes. The total budget debt requirement right now, if you look in the right-hand bottom corner, is almost $9 million. In FY 2026, then we've already had our Series 2018 tax notes go off, and so you will see from the top, we have our Series 2016, which is an energy savings program, 2019, and the jail expansion. So you go all the way down and you will see what our current for this year budget. In 2027, you will have the Series 2019 roll off, and then if you look at 2028, that is when the jail expansion and our 2020 tax notes will roll off. So that will be a big year for savings with that regard. Okay, if you flip over. Okay, this is your road and bridge debt. So the portion of funding is broken down to 22% to precinct 1, 23% to road and bridge precinct 2 at this time, and 27% for road and bridge 3, and 28% to road and bridge 4. And then you have your debt there. The debt for road and bridge precinct 1 is $19,186.22. Precinct 2, $25,670.14. Precinct 3 has no debt at this time, and precinct 4 has $28,238.17. And at this time, if there are any changes that any of you want to make that are line item changes, the commissioners can move money, not out of personnel, but they can move money in their budget. But if you have a line item change, the only thing I have at this time is Commissioner Cassidy wants to add another position and wants to add a clothing allowance. Uniforms have a very specific look, as opposed to a clothing allowance. Uniforms are not IRS taxable, but clothing allowances are, so it has to be a line item. Is there anything, another line item that you all wish to add? If you think of one, just let us know and Carrie will add it. Is that all for you that you wanted to add? Okay. Okay. Here we go. Okay, I don't have a whole lot on that first page. A lot of that's, we still have to fill in. We still have to fill in some of the property taxes, some of the revenue. That's part of the reason I asked what that revenue line item is. Some of our revenue sources are very, very steady and they're very consistent, but some of them are not. Okay, sales tax revenue is not necessarily consistent, but it does provide us with additional funding. IH, well, you two, we didn't go through it, but the rest of us did, went through the pain of having an incredible amount of debt that then we were not able to consolidate, or be able to eliminate, because we were dependent on IH funding. So IH funding, the majority of it has been moved to where it is utilized for buildings, for equipment, for maintenance, but not for personnel. We don't ever want to put our staff in a situation where they may not be able to get paid. That would not be good. Okay, so let me see if we can on yours. Are you at permits? Yeah, permits, okay. Sorry, I'd already scribbled all over mine, so I didn't want it reprinted. Okay, if you look at the JPs, you look at the JP1, JP1, these are all your actual accounts. So JP1, that's the amount that we're putting in the preliminary budget for income. And then you have JP2, JP1 at 130,000, JP2 at 180,000, JP3 at 110, and JP4 at 230,000. So you can see why JP4, later in the budget, you're gonna see why JP4 needs some additional assistance with staffing and in a reclassifications. Okay, if you go down to permits, most of our fees have gone down, except for haulers fees. Okay, if you go ahead and go to the next page, you've got your constables serving fees. Okay, precinct 1 constable serving fee, removed that, adjusted it to $6,700 for the year. Constable 2 precinct, $15,600. Constable 3 precinct, we're gonna take that to 6. And Constable 4 precinct, 11,000. And that's what we're expecting. Depository interest, that's sometimes based, we don't count on that because that is definitely based on the economy. Okay, if you'll find the general, are you a general? Okay. Administrative, there's not a whole lot on that, those are just additional revenues. And some of those are no longer, we no longer do them. You have the Big Sandy ISD SRO reimbursement. We don't participate in that program anymore. You do have the TRA patrol reimbursement, which is listed down close to the bottom. The TRA patrol reimbursement is $401,448.52. Okay. Then you go to enterprise fleet review, which is the 4660 line item. Right now, it's at 0 because we're working with the sheriff's office and enterprise to get all of that lined out. If you go down to 7420, which is the inmate phone revenue at the county jail, that has gone, we're not anticipating as much money. The revenue, if you look at 2025, the revenue has actually gone down, and we need to expect the same thing to happen at IAH, because ICE is looking for a vendor. They do not wish to utilize our vendor. Okay, if you go to total federal and state funding, and additional revenue sources, and that's on the next page. At the very, very bottom, you'll see total federal and state spending, and we've projected at $229,200. And that is not including, at this point, keep in mind that this is not including property taxes. Okay. Expenditures, keep on moving on that. Okay, go to salaries and benefits. Okay, the 1050. This is what we did is where there was a request for additional staffing, then that's where we put it in there. One of the requests is to get Becky some assistance. Becky's a lot like Carrie. We keep piling things onto her, and the subdivisions got placed on her along with timesheets, along with other things. And so the growing complexity and challenges that the subdivisions bring is enough to make anybody crazy, to be real honest. So we do need to get her some assistance. That would be for the commissioners. That would fall under the commissioners, if you're interested. And then if you go down to the 3220, which is employee appreciation, we would like to go ahead and put $10,000 in there. We feel like that the employee appreciation lunch went really well and that everybody enjoyed it. It also gave everyone an opportunity to kind of visit with other employees. And so we would like to go ahead and put it in there for $10,000 instead of the commissioners, you know, splitting it up and going that direction. For one, we really didn't know what it would cost. But last year was around a little over $8,000, and so we feel like this will streamline it. Okay. If you go to 4870, that's service awards. Okay, service awards is one place where we have gone back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. We had in some of the earlier department meetings, we had, you know, employees say, I don't really want something that I'm never gonna use, that I don't appreciate, I don't need another plaque to stick in a drawer. But then some of them liked the plaque. At that time, we were ordering things out of catalog, and the problem with the catalog was that just like every other catalog, basically we might be spending, you know, $400 of the taxpayers' money, but the value of the item was less than $100. So one of the things for us to consider is maybe forming some kind of committee that will look at we sent out a survey. We asked our employees to complete a survey, and they are all over the place, just like everything else, right? Some say, oh, I love this, and then the next person says, oh, I hate that. So we do think it would be helpful to go ahead and put together a committee of some kind. For now, we've put $4,000 in there, and we can continue the way we are, which is with the plaques, or we can, you And I don't know what our employees would have. Some of them just want a gift card, and then they can spend money however they see fit. If that means they go buy themselves a watch, well, they go buy themselves a watch.
I thought that's what depreciation loans was for.
It was, but we've always given them individual consideration. So the court just needs to decide how to proceed with that individual consideration.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna flip a few pages. Okay, find, line item 4190. So we had a request from the Judicial Center, to get some type of TV or some kind of capability of watching the news. And we also got a similar request from Aging, and so at this time, we're researching those options, and we will come back to the court, and then the court can decide how we wish to proceed. The next one down, 4,200, is your communications expenses, and all of those are currently under review, which is part of what IT is working on, and we will get you information as we proceed. And if you look at that, you will see part of why we need to consolidate some of these services. We have AT&T consolidated, Eastex, General Informatics, Livingston Telephone, Verizon Landlines, Verizon Cell Lines, Quartrex, and JIC. That's a lot. It's a lot for Casey to try to keep up. So we will get you that information. The next ones are all, nothing we can do about it. Gas, heat, water, property insurance. Our property insurance has gone up. Anyways, so those are all things we can't do anything about. Okay, grants and contracts. That's another request. If we are able to consolidate grants and contracts with procurement, then that will allow, right now, Jessica, as you saw, just from the state and federal grants, Jessica is basically swimming in alligators, trying to keep up with all those monies. And those reports are extremely detailed, and they have to be very consistent. So, she feels like that, and she is very, very meticulous. So she does feel like that to some degree, the contracts, we're having to utilize legal review a lot. And the contracts are somewhat not being reviewed as carefully as she would like to. So some of that has fallen to Nicole, which then pushes Nicole. So if we do consolidate that department, then we are proposing that we have a secretary too that will help distribute that workload. You know, just tracking the dates for everything is difficult. Okay. Whatever the court, generally with the county auditor's office, whatever the court decides to do for our employees, we do the same for the county auditor, and we do the same for the district judge's offices. So until we do personnel, then there's no change there. Okay, the county treasurer is interested in some discretionary funds, which everybody's interested in some discretionary funds. That's 1055. But the one thing for their pay, their salary, is that that's public information. Anybody can look it up. It's not a secret. Okay. Not a whole lot of changes for the next few pages. Okay, account number 4270, travel training. That's in the jail. The jail does need additional funds for travel and training. And to be real honest, we're gonna go back and review all travel and training, because we do feel like that we do have some departments that need additional training, and especially if we start looking at certificate pay, then those departments are gonna need some more additional money for travel. Okay, there's not a whole lot of changes otherwise on the page. If you go to 4890, 4890, everybody with me? Okay, 4890, that's where we have $2,500 in there just for county tires through maintenance. The tire disposal event seemed to be pretty successful. And so is that something that you all would like for us to add to the budget? A line item for that particular project for our environmental enforcement officer? Something to think about.
I think we would, I think it went very well, and I know it was stacking up on everywhere, it tired everywhere, it did big help.
Well, it just seemed to work really well.
It did.
But the thing about it is that if we're gonna have our staff out there, then we need to make sure that we build in some money to pay them. You see what I'm saying? To compensate them, not, I mean, that one will just kinda end up flying by the seat of our pants. So that is one thing that we need to know. So we'll go ahead and build it into the budget.
I think mine, Wayne's Tire normally.
Huh?
Wayne's Tire normally disposes of mine, but I have to pay for it.
Well, and that's fine, but if you have some, and everybody should have a contractor that will take their tires, because certainly it's really more intended for the public, not for the county. Right, so it's not like all of y'all can show up with 100 tires apiece, and then residents have to go home. So the purpose of it is for the residents. Okay, and then, okay, if you look at the capital outlay buildings, 5740, buildings and projects. Okay, capital outlay and buildings. I think we all realize that between the jail and the probation department, the roof, and all the other building maintenance things that Grady has gotten hit with over the last few months, I think we all realize that we are gonna go over budget in this line item, which is fine. We'll come back and make a budget amendment if necessary, after we see what the bottom line looks like. But I just want you to be aware that a budget amendment is possible for this year. We usually try to stay within budget, but there are some things that we cannot control. It's all the jail's fault.
We ought to be good for a while after all this.
I wouldn't count on it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hang my hat on it. Okay, but anyway, so I just want you to be aware that we may have to come back and make a budget amendment, but those are all things that there was no way for anybody to be able to anticipate. Okay, next one. Okay, we have several different things. I do want to call your attention to the lease payment, election equipment storage. So at this time, the county is leasing space for the election equipment. And so we do need to move forward as much as we can to try to get that election equipment back under our roof. It would certainly make Shirley sleep easier at night, and Casey sleep easier at night, and Rachel Slocum sleep easier at night, knowing that the election equipment is back with us. Okay. Okay, we have at the very bottom, your 4950, the landscaping. The courthouse landscaping, because it involves a sprinkler system as well, must be bid out. The rest of the county landscaping, the current county landscaping maintenance will remain intact. Okay. Human Resources, 1050. At this time, James, he currently has one unfilled position, and so what he would like to do is restructure his office to where there's specific duties and responsibilities for those individuals, but it's no change, there's no change in the number of employees, so that one is in there. And basically what he would like to do is he would like to have himself as HR director, and then have an HR analyst, office manager, and a secretary. There's a large volume of calls, emails, et cetera, that come to this office. Okay, and then you also are going to see an addition on their subscriptions, and that's for their, for Tyler Tech onboarding, annual cost and setup. And what this will do is allow them to be able to track people that are filling out requests and information to become employees for hiring, and will be available to everybody. Okay, 4053. It's an increase in psych evals. With the current retention new high rate, we are projecting 55 psych evals in the next budget year. And so that will, plus didn't the psych evals cost go up?
I don't think so.
I thought it did,
What's that?
the psych evals, did the cost of the psych evals go up?
Yes, ma'am, they
Yeah,
doubled.
substantially.
How much is it?
400.
To 400.
Oh, that's, yeah.
Yeah.
From the old one, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been 400 for a little bit.
Right, but it wasn't like
Yes.
this year's
Yeah,
budget.
Yes.
I got you.
Okay, tax assessor collector, 1080, there's a change there. She would like to increase the part-time position to a full-time position. That's a good move, because to be real honest, it's very difficult to find good part-time people. You're gonna have to find someone that's already retired and just wants something to do. So, I don't think that's a bad proposal. Okay, delinquent tax collection, we don't worry about that, that's a pass-through. Okay. If you go to the transfers, we have created a long-term recovery. That will end up being 0540. Basically, what we had done before is we had put funding in long-term recovery, but then, at the end of the year, if it was not utilized, then we just put it in the next budget year, but there was no accumulation. And so, in discussion with long-term recovery and with other counties, what they do is they allow that money to stack up, I guess I should say, so that when we do have a major event, then there's funding available to do projects and actually move forward with things. Okay. Okay, if you go to volunteer fire departments, it's 6,900 or 4872, whichever one you wanna look at. At this time, we went ahead and put 5% increase in the budget. And once we have the final numbers, then we will know. And again, we follow the fire chief's formulas, and they tell us how it's gonna be divvied, and we make the distribution. But this time, to the entire fund, we've added 5%. And we could go up on that. We'll see what monies we have. Emergency management. Emergency management had requested a part-time secretary for the long-term recovery. That has been rescinded at this point in time. Given the number of events, we're gonna have to take a close look at emergency management. Okay. We have, in aging, we have another request for DirecTV. Okay. You're gonna see 5730, that's the flood gauge grant. And that's 25%, or 25% of the capital line item. It's several pages. Okay, 1010, that is Judge Brown. His salary. Legislature's still in session, so we don't know what his salary's gonna look like.
Well, district judges yesterday got voted 100 to 175,000.
Well, we're at 173.
There you go. They got a 25% raise. I think it passed.
For county court and law?
District judges.
Oh, no.
County Court of Law is based on district judges.
Yes, but
It is.
we shall see. We'll
It
see
went-
what,
it went
we'll see what they
back
tell
and
us.
forth. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we're just telling you up front. That's questionable, we'll see what they tell us in their notification. Not much change in his, with the exception of 4861. We have a CPS judge that was appointed by Judge Trapp. Who wants a court reporter, so we shall see how that works out. Okay, district clerk. Salaries. She would like to reclassify one deputy clerk to a court clerk because the court dockets have been so big, and she's had a lot of what they call pop-up courts. I didn't know that was a word, but they've had a lot of pop-up courts, and so what that does is it completely drains her office, and she ends up with a court clerk down there trying to do deputy clerk work. Otherwise, she has to leave the office and go down there. So that's a logical, based on the volume, based on the documentation, that's a logical move. District clerk. If you go to 4980, judicial center been there?
2011.
Yeah, 2011.
How long?
2011.
Since 2011. 14 years. And she thinks maybe it's time for new chairs. So, seems like a reasonable request, so it's in there. Travel allowance, if you go to JP1, yeah, the travel allowance request, again, similar to last year of 10,000. Now, that's not training, that's travel. And then, also an increase in training, but then she came back and said, you know, leave it at 2,000. JP2 requested a salary increase from 59,000 to 65,000, and also requested a travel allowance of 10,000. We did not receive any documentation then with regards to the comparable square mileage, population, and workload. But we will again review with TAC, the TAC information that they gather from across the state. And one thing that we need to keep in mind, you know, there are counties out there of the same square mileage and the same everything, but they have refineries. They have huge manufacturing, so their tax base is way different than ours is. So the budget is not decided on square mileage. It's based on what our property owners can provide and what they can afford. And so as much as possible, we have to be very, very cognizant about what it's costing our people, our residents, our businesses, people that live in Polk County. So it's not based on square mileage. Okay, one of the requests from her as well, which makes sense, was that there be a reclassification. Did I miss it? Oh, okay, yeah, under salaries, you had a change in salaries, the line item 1050. So the pretrial services coordinator, that job has expanded significantly since it was established. And so she would like for us to consider a reclassification. She's currently at 110, but because of the duties and responsibilities that are coming in from all four JPs, we are recommending that it be changed to a 114. Okay. Basically, you have the same thing, JP3, 10,000 travel. Increase of $6,000 in salary. Same thing for JP4. And there is no doubt that the caseload and revenue base for JP4 is highest. Also, they handle the truancy and parent contributing cases for Livingston ISD, which is the largest school district. And so that's part of why we are recommending. She has requested that that one of her court clerks be chief deputy clerk to have two positions, one over civil matters and one over criminal cases. So the recommendation is for her to have two chief deputy clerks, just in different areas. Okay. Next one is 4270. this is still JP4, increase in travel training to 2,500. Also keep in mind that if she's gonna have 2 chief deputies, that one of them's gonna need additional training as well. Okay, I think we skipped through several of them at this point. So the district judges, until we know what the court decides to do in terms of pay raises or increases, then there's little or no change with them. Okay, district attorney. She wants to take two part-time positions into one. And then she also would like to have a temporary receptionist to help her get caught up on scanning records. We have a lot of records. Other than that, it's pretty clear cut. As you all are all aware, we have several murder cases that are coming up in the district attorney's office. And so we did put some additional monies in there to make sure that she is able to provide a prosecution without having to go back and forth. Okay, the sheriff and the jail both are requesting a 15% pay increase for all jail and the sheriff's department. The jail has also requested 10 new jailers. However, we discussed that, and at this time we have 17 positions that are open. And at the time of the discussion, so what we agreed to do is that what we will do is that we will set aside some money in the event that it should become necessary, which would be, of course, pending them having filled. My allergies are them having filled those 17 positions and still need the staffing requirement for the population that's in the jail. And at that time, so we will set aside some monies, but they are not built into the budget. Does that make sense? Isn't that what we talked about?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, because the cost of that would be over $500,000 for those 10 positions. They requested a new secretary, partially commissary funded, and a new nurse, another jail nurse, and a Zork. And they need it because the population that's in that jail needs some additional medical support. And then everything else across the board basically went up, which is the same thing that we're finding in everybody's office, and that's inflation and so forth. Okay, there's a few pages where there's the constables, some of them requested vehicles, but those will be added in the capital projections. Okay, so you have constable 1, 2, 3, and 4. Basically, what we do with them is, unless they have capital projection, we do the same thing with the constables that we do with the commissioners. They receive X amount of operating dollars, and where they decide to move that money is up to them. Now, I do have to say one thing about the constables. The SB 22 monies did not apply in the same way that the SB 22 monies applied to the sheriff's department. And so the increase to $42,187, that increase is going to be mostly funded by the taxpayers. Because the comptroller was not very clear. Not that they were any clearer with SB 22, because they were not. They started out by saying that SB 22 paid for the position, paid for the person, but not the position. So what that meant was that if somebody left, then you didn't get that funding. Well, then they finally came back after what, 18 months, Carrie? 18 months and said, yeah, you're right, it pays for the position. We're like, you haven't done us any good. Or anybody else in the state any good, for that matter. So most of that money will be taxpayer funded. Okay. In the sheriff's department, 1010 starts there. Again, asking for a 15% pay increase. They would like 2 new deputies and 1 secretary. A 4th position was to fund the currently grant-funded evidence manager. But we can consider that in the event the grant is not awarded next year. But we do make the recommendation for the 2 new deputies and the secretary. $2560, $3560 is the next one under the sheriff. And we're asking for a new line item for the sheriff's office contracts to be paid out of. It would make it easier to keep track of those contracts that are currently used. It would make it simpler for their department to keep up with it, and for communications in terms of the auditor or the budget office. The animal shelter requested an additional $10,000 due to the increase in the number of animals being handled and price increases in food and supplies. That's included in here as well. Also had some increases in maintenance fees and the DPS controls for the flock safety cameras. And at this time, those are grant funded. We'll move forward. For now, they're staying as grant funded. Okay, the vehicles you've already seen. Environmental enforcement, 1050. He is waiting for the next TCOL test so that he can get his full TCOL. And request for salary. On all these salary changes or discretionary funds, all of those are decisions of the court, and it will be based on funding. Funding is available. There was a request for a communications expense for an additional cell phone for his secretary, but she doesn't work weekends. It was an unnecessary cost. Her job is in the office. And then his other request is to update equipment after he gets TCOL certified. And then this is where we will add the tire collection event, if you all think it's a good idea. Okay. Fire marshal. He's requesting a reclassification from pay level 117 to pay level 222. 117 is not comparable to 222. Again, we pay for the position. Andy is at a 222. So Polk County pays for the position, We also, those positions are also determined by, are they on call, 24/7? Are they, how many people do they supervise? What are their responsibilities to where it's more comparable? Okay. And then he also had a request for increase, 4270 for travel training. I really should leave something really important for the end after y'all are completely comatose. Okay, on 3665 1050, which is ag extension. I did request a breakdown because it's confusing when you look at the salaries. The salaries are listed or projected to be 91,742 in the preliminary budget. So the contribution that the county makes to the agents, okay, salary. So this is, the state of Texas pays the base, and then the counties contribute on top of that. Okay, we contribute $59,150, basically $30,000 to each agent's salary. And then the secretary is a secretary one, $32,592. I just think that the court needs to recognize that that is, it looks discrepant if you look at it. Okay. Go to all other expenses of 1691.40.25, that's Burke. The contribution that they've requested is 43,629. We still have money in the mental health assessment, ADAC counseling, Polk County Child Welfare. I would like to give an increase to the Polk County Child Welfare group. They take care of our children, and so I think we should increase that amount. Okay. Now we're getting to fines, fees, transfers. Okay, aging, health and human services. We do need some documentation. Their supply costs have definitely gone up, and unfortunately, as the supply costs have gone up, then state funding has gone down. Evidently, there's it's like a grant, it's like a matching grant, and the state chose not to increase their portion of the grant, and so the money's going down, but the costs are going up. And we do need to get some more detailed documentation to present to the court. If you look at the 4190 in her department, she also has requested a TV. We did have at one time a TV in this one that was connected to the EOC DirecTV. But depending on who you talk to at DirecTV, you can do that or you can't do that. So we're gonna try to find the right person to talk to that can help us out there. Casey's working on that. They're also putting in a request for additional cell phones so that they can follow the guidelines. Okay. I do have something to add on the first portion, the debt. If you look at the debt, look at the prior tax note issues, excuse me, capital purchase projections. Look at the capital purchase projections, a page like this, yeah. Prior tax notes that have not yet been retired. So in 2019, the tax notes that we issued was $1,750,000. In 2020, we issued $865,000. In 2021, we issued $500,000. 2022, we issued $5,875,000. 2023, there was no issue because we paid it with the surplus depository interest. 2024, there was no issue because again, we paid it with depository interest. In 2025, there was no issue because everything was budgeted. So we've had 3 years of no prior tax note issues. Part of it is because of the depository interest and also that our IEH revenues came in. And as you well know, we do not distribute the IEH revenues until we're holding them in our hand. So that's part of it. So I agree with our auditor's office and our outside auditor that we're in a good position. Anybody have any questions?
So moved to adjourn.
Move to adjourn over here. What time is it now, clerk?
12:01.
Just in time for everybody to get to work.
Second all the way down.
Thank you, everybody.
Moved them into another county.
No.